Hello, children, and welcome to another spine-tingling episode of Long Tracks and Tall Tales. You, in your great stupidity, have made a series of very questionable life choices
Extreme stupidity.
to end up needing us at this particular moment in time, and yet here we are anyway.
We can't help you guys.
We can't.
You need us or you wouldn't be here, but we can't help you. We can't even help ourselves. How are we supposed to help you?
I am and continue to be Scott G. Davis of Myth of Logic, and my good friend Christopher Clark is here with us as well. Christopher, how are we today?
I am fantastic.
As always, we are fantastic. Today, we're not going to even do any prog news because there's not really anything new going since the last time. We're going to do the Long Tracks and Tall Tales book club today, where we want to make this channel about a variety of different things.
Right.
When Chris and I have conversations, we don't just talk about prog. We don't even just talk about music. We talk about all sorts of different subjects. We're both bookies, and we just consume voraciously. And I have since I was 5, just books and books and books and books. So today we're going to talk about books we have read recently, are in the middle of recently, or just
books that are going to be released that we're looking forward to. There's one or two in that category for me.
We did an episode recently about Phil Ahart's wonderful book, I Am Phil. Want to mention that again if you don't know about it. Phil is a fantastic guy, and his story is very, very inspirational and very, it's very heartwarming.
It is. It's a really good book, and it's real easy to read. I'm going to reiterate this. I said this when we did our episode on it, but it's almost like he's not a professional author, and you get that. And some people who like, I prefer professional authorship. Well, you're not, but it's like you're in the room with him. Yeah. And he's sitting right next to you and he's talking to you, only it's on the page. It is so conversational, and it is wonderful in that regard. It's like you're having a conversation with him. It's great. So if you like that conversational style of a book, it's perfect. Oh, and his story is so amazing. The story of that band is amazing. Mm-hmm. And so, I highly recommend it. It's one of my favorites I've read this year.
Yeah, me too. Well, Chris, what do you got first? What do you want to talk about first?
Well, okay. First things first, I'm going to mention the book that's first of all, let me level myself. I have two very different types of readership. I enjoy modern novels, but I also enjoy older Victorian British era style novels. And I have, in that vein, I have 3 favorite authors total. Number one, and the only favorite author I really have in the modern era, is Stephen King. Love every book he's ever written. Well, don't love every book, have every book he's ever written. There are 3 in his gargantuan book list that I cannot read and cannot get into, and I've tried. But I mean, that's out of like 70 something books. So I love that guy. He's my favorite modern era author. My 2 favorite Victorian era authors are Sir Arthur Conan Doyle and Charles Dickens. So I am always trying to read or look at anything that is Sherlock Holmes. Okay. And one of the things I have learned is that there is a very large and awesome community of modern authors who write canonical Holmes material. They write it in the canon style of Sherlock Holmes as Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, but they do it's modern authors doing it. If you like that, and if you can get beyond, I can't read it unless Sir Arthur Conan Doyle wrote it. If you like it, there are thousands of stories out there that are just marvelous, that are canonical Sherlock Holmes. And one such that I'm reading right now is The Manifestations of Sherlock Holmes by James Lovegrove. James Lovegrove is one of my favorite modern authors who does Sherlock Holmes stories. This book is a bunch of his shorter stories. He's also done novels that are Sherlock Holmes novels. Some of them stray just a little bit from canon and go a little more into a a different style, but they're still great because he's a great author. There's a guy named Ben Congdon. He's a new guy that's writing Sherlock Holmes, beautiful, awesome Sherlock Holmes. I've already read one of his. I've read two of his, The Archives of Sherlock Holmes, the SS Friesland, and The Archives of Sherlock Holmes Volume 1. I've read both of those by him. They're great. There's a guy named David Markham who has a big compendium of Sherlock Holmes that's written not just by him, but by authors who send stuff to him, and he edits it and has like a 10-book compendium of like 30 stories per book. It's a ton. I've gotten that. I haven't started reading it. I'm currently reading this. I'm doing something I usually never do, and this is something different from what you from what you do, from what we talked about earlier. I don't like to read multiple books at the same time. If I'm reading this, usually this is all I'm reading, and I'm concentrating on this until I'm done with it. But for some reason, I don't know why, my mind has been all over the place recently. So there are 3 that I am currently reading right now. This is one of them, which is a series of short stories. This is a book that my daughter Amory got me for Father's Day, and it's called Hunting the Hangman, and it is true to history in the events that happen in it. It is about the assassination of Heydrich from Nazi Germany, and the people who went after him. And it's awesome. And I don't normally, I love history. I love reading about Nazi Germany and the Third Reich and all that. Very fascinating to me. So that's probably why I love this. But this is a very well written book. So I'm in the middle of it too, and I'm enjoying it. And then this one always gets people going, huh? I absolutely love the writing of Woody Allen, and I'm reading his book, What's with Bomb, which
how is it we find something in common every time we have a new conversation?
Because we're brothers from different mothers, man. We really are. It's why everything works so well with us. We have so many different things.
Have you ever read Without Feathers?
Yeah, I have. Without Feathers. Yeah. I have that book.
That's
I have
one of my favorite books of all time.
This is his most recent novel.
Mm-hmm.
His most recent book that was not a novel is Apropos of Nothing, and I bought that and read it. He is one of the authors, though, and I think you'll agree with me. You and I are very, very intelligent, I believe. We have quite a vocabulary. I am always coming up against words with him that I don't know, and I'm having to look up. He has the largest, strangest vocabulary of anyone I've ever read. And I love his movies, too, by the way. I'm able to bifurcate anything people say about him as a person. Okay, you can feel how you feel about him, whatever. His art, to me, is just phenomenal. It's hilarious, and I love it. And so I have begun reading this. I'm going to have to tell you, coming right out of the gate, and I think it's maybe because my mind is in the vein of these right now, this is kind of a slog right now. It's a little hard for me. I think I might have to drop it and come back to it later when I'm focusing on it, because that's it. But it's an actual novel that he wrote instead of, like, Without Feathers is several pieces.
Yeah,
it's great though. But those are the 3 I'm reading right now. I have read this year Widow's Point, which is by a guy named Richard Chismar, who co-wrote a series with Stephen King. And he has written several good books. Killing the Boogeyman is the one coming out in October. He wrote Becoming the Boogeyman and another 2 of them, and they're great. Vexley. Oh, this will tie into Prague. There is an artist, and I don't know if you know who he is. His name is Chris Ingalls. He's from Germany, and he has a band called Sin Project, CEN Project. Have you heard of them?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
His most recent Sin Project album is called Vexley, and it is a concept album. And he wrote a book that goes along. You have to buy the book separately, but it is the story of what the album is. Well, I'm friends with Chris, and so I bought the book and I read it, and it's really cool, and it's different, and it's a really cool compendium to the album. So that's a book that I've read this year. You can buy. I think I got it on Amazon. It's called Vexley, and the album's called Vexley. I told you about the Sherlock Holmes I've been reading. I Am Phil I read, and then I've been reading a bunch of. I always read horror and mystery novels. I'm not going to bore you with all the different ones I've been reading. However, I will say that the new 3rd part of The Talisman by Peter Straub and Stephen King is coming out in October. It is the third and final book of the series, and it's called Other Worlds Than These. And so, in preparation of that, I went back and reread slash listened to, because sometimes I listen. Uh, if I've already read it before, I'll listen to it. I reread slash listened to The Talisman and Black House, which are parts 1 and 2 of the Talisman trilogy. And that third one is coming out here in October, and I'm so excited. And I've heard it's like 800 pages. It's going to be long. So I'm looking forward to when that one comes out. So yeah, I'm all over the place in book land. So I want to hear from you. First of all, I want to ask you, do you like older authors and like Victoria British style? And if you do, who do you like from there? And
Well,
who
the
do you
ones
like
you
better?
mentioned, obviously. I mean, if you consider yourself a bookie, as you coined earlier, if you consider yourself a bookie, Dickens is basic library. I mean, that's I
Absolutely.
there's not a lot from that era that I'm that conversant with. I have read many of the classics from that era. Most of the stuff that has stuck with me are books from my childhood that came quite later. Roald Dahl stuff, The Phantom Tollbooth, Charlie and the Chocolate
Mm-hmm.
Factory, everything that he wrote. My mom had me reading at a third grade level by the time I made it to kindergarten.
Wow.
She read to me. I don't remember her reading me Dr. Seuss. I had Dr. Seuss books, but when she read to me, it was always fully formed adult dialogue kinds of books. And so um, she is the one that planted that seed and nurtured it to grow, and it's never escaped me. Tolkien, at any given time, I'm reading. Much like you, I'm in multiple books, but it's always only two, and one of those books is always Lord of the Rings. Always. I'm always at some. I have this dog-eared copy of it that I bought about 8 years ago, and it's bookmarked, and you know, I've got little tabs on the top of it to
So you're
to
always reading one book and Lord of the Rings.
exactly. For probably the last 20 years or so, I've always had a copy of Lord of the Rings at some point in it.
That's awesome.
It's part of my center. There's just so much. It's I've always told people that I feel like the Lord of the Rings is the meeting place of Shakespeare and the Bible. It's really equal parts of both of those approaches, and those are
Now, do you
both.
include the Hobbit and all those in the Lord of the Rings, like when
I,
you're reading?
I've read The Hobbit probably 8 times in my life,
Okay.
and it's a wonderful book. I love it.
Mhm.
Lord of the Rings is obviously a much more advanced piece of work, where he wrote The Hobbit first, and the publishers were saying, "Oh, great, give us another children's book," and then he landed with that gargantuan thing, and it was kind of like, it was sort of a big middle finger to his publisher. It's like, yeah, I'll give you another children's book. Here you go. But I have read a pile since Christmas. I always get a pile for Christmas, and I'm going to run a few of these down. Of course, I
Okay.
Am Phil. Again, we can't reiterate it to you enough, folks. I Am Phil. Go find it. Just go get it.
Fantastic book.
There are a number of levels. We both went for the personally autographed one because I'm a Phil A. Hartnut. He's my favorite drummer. And so I had to have that one. But you don't have to spend that much money. Uh, Spinal Tap. Fine line between stupid and clever. And this is actually two books. If you flip it over, it's Smell the Book,
Oh my God, that's
which is
cool.
a recent interview. This is kind of bittersweet because this is the last thing that this is
Rob
the
Reiner.
last Rob Reiner. This is the last thing he worked on before his untimely passing. I like the first part, the fictional part, better than the more interviewee style of the second part, but it's well
Okay.
worth it. This next book is one that I've read a couple of times over the last couple of years. I have bought copies of this for friends of mine. If you are a musician or a lover of music, you have to have this book. It's called The Music Lesson, and it's by the absolutely stellar human being and musician Victor Wooten.
Oh,
You have to have this. You have to own it, and you have to read it. It's if you've ever read any um, the Don Quixote stuff, Carlos Castaneda.
hmm
It's a similar feel to that. but
Really?
it's really a new way of thinking and learning, and it really is a must read for any musician or lover of music. The Music Lesson by Victor.
I've never heard of that.
Go for Victor is an astonishing bass player.
Oh, I know.
Uh,
I've heard of Victor. I just didn't know he had written a book.
calling Victor a bass player is kind of like calling Neil Peart a drummer because they were both so much more than just those words
Right.
cover.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Anyway, up next, this is an awesome book, The Uncool by Cameron Crowe.
Okay.
This one, if you're as I am, one of my top five movies is a movie called Almost Famous that Cameron made back in the
Hmm.
90s. And it's a love letter to 1970s rock and roll, the stuff he was involved with and reporting on as a young man in his very early teens. This is the true story behind all of that. The
Oh, that's
story
cool.
about him and his family and the actual true stories of the infamous interview with Greg Allman is covered in here at length. Uh, all of his experiences. This is one of those books, friends, that you get to the end of it and you go, "That's it? I want more. Please, there's got to be more. Is
He
that
leaves
really
you
that's
wanting
it?"
more, huh? That's awesome.
It's an astonishingly good book. He's very honest and unflinching in his telling of his own story, and it's very heartwarming, and it'll send you on a roller coaster of different emotions. But it's very, very highly recommended. Go find that one.
Okay.
Here's another one I've enjoyed recently, Heartbreaker by Mike Campbell.
Okay.
Another astonishingly talented musician, although I would never be able to work on his Telecaster because he refuses to allow any technician to clean that fretboard. That, my friends, is disgusting.
It's
But
disgusting.
that aside, Mike is one of my favorite musicians and people. He's a fantastic individual. His story is very it reminds me of I Am Phil in the way that it's told. It's a very conversational and matter of fact sort of style.
Cool.
And he's written some of my favorite songs. He wrote Boys of Summer for Don Henley.
Oh wow, I love that
Uh,
song.
and that's just the tip of the iceberg. A lot of what he's done is escaping me. So many of those Heartbreaker songs uh, started with germs of ideas or demos from Mike.
No, that's
And
awesome.
this is a great read if you're interested in that sort of thing. It's
Okay.
awesome. I have probably 20 Beatles books. I love the Beatles. I love reading about them. I love talking about them. I love listening to them. This is probably my favorite book about the Beatles. It's called
Living
Living
the
the
Beatles
Beatles Legends: The Untold Story of Mal Evans. Mal Evans was their assistant and roadie, basically. He did everything the Beatles needed to have done. Um,
That
he
sounds cool.
he
That sounds
actually
interesting.
at several points in his life with the Beatles, he helped Paul write a few lyrics, very famous ones. The
Wow.
stories are all told in this book. What happened was he died very it was sad. It was very sad. It was in a misunderstanding, conflict with police officers in California,
Oh no.
and it was a sad end to a very interesting life. He had issues, but he left behind a whole bunch of diaries, and so a lot of this is told from his perspective. Uh, Kenneth Womack, Living the Beatles Legend. Go seek this one out, folks. It's a fairly lengthy book,
Yeah, it looks big.
but if you're interested in the Beatles or just interested in an interesting story, because it's a fascinating story. Um, we everyone, excuse me a second. I am no different than anybody else. I have guilty pleasures, but one of my guilty pleasures that I will not apologize for is my love of Richard Marx. I was a fan from day one. The guy writes great songs. He sings his ass off. I've seen him play four times over the years. He always puts on a fantastic show. His book, even if you're not interested in Richard Marx, this is a really, really good read because it's mostly stories about people that he's met, Barbara Streisand and
Hmm.
uh, Kenny Rogers and Lionel Richie and all of these big
So he
names
doesn't
in music.
concentrate so much on his music. He concentrates on like his interactions with people.
Yeah, this is not an autobiography of his life. There's little tidbits about his life, but it's mostly about stories that it's led to him having a really interesting YouTube channel
That's
where
cool.
he sits down with some of these friends, and he's done some very interesting pieces on that. If you've not seen that, go check out his YouTube channel. But this book has got some great stories in it. Even if you don't care for Richard Marx, it's very well written. It's an easy read, and they are great stories. Another one, real quick here. I got two more.
All right.
Uh, I got this for Christmas last year.
I'm
Brian
not. I might
Johnson.
have a hard time with that one. I'm not a fan of ACDC, so I don't really care a lot about what's.
Well,
Unless you tell me it's really great.
he's lived a very interesting life. He's a working class guy. I mean, as you would expect.
Right.
There are stories in here. It's probably geared more toward the fan of
Right.
ACDC because uh, he tells the story of why he wears the hat and why he wears the particular shirts that he wears. There's a
Okay.
reason for that, and it has to do with his working class upbringing and who he was at the
That's
time.
interesting.
It's he writes in a very conversational style. It's an interesting story. If you like ACDC, and I do, it's a great read. It's a fast read, and he's an interesting guy. I would like to meet him. I guess he lives locally around here somewhere in Central Florida.
Does he really?
It would be wonderful to bump
I didn't
into.
know he lived in Florida.
Yeah, Nico McBrain from Iron Maiden lives around here
Oh,
too.
that's freaking. You need to
As
go find him and have a chat with him.
Yeah, yeah. Robin Zander from Cheap Trick, I believe, lives in Clearwater.
Oh, that's cool.
Anyway, and then to wind up here, one of my favorites, Patrick
Oh, I
Stewart,
love him.
Making it so.
I love
This,
Patrick Stewart.
if you have even the most passing, faintest desire and interest in Patrick Stewart, this is an absolutely wonderful read. It tells the story of his life, basically. This is a true autobiography. It has stories it bounces around a little bit, like he'll interrupt talking about his childhood with a story from working on a Star Trek movie or whatever. So it's not truly chronological or anything like that, but his writing style is very friendly and conversational, and it was much easier to read than I thought it might have been. It's not. He is a savagely intelligent Shakespearean
Oh,
actor,
yes, he is.
as you might expect. But his
I've
his
I've watched a video on a National Theater. I have a National Theater uh, membership, and there is a play, and I can't remember the name of the play, but he does it with Ian McKellen, and
well, those two are longtime
just
friends. Yeah.
it is just astoundingly good to watch. To watch both of them play off of each other is two masters at it. So
If you have an inkling to get this book, it's really good. I really thoroughly enjoyed it very much. So that's been a. There have been other things. There's one book in particular I'm not going to mention because I fucking hated it for a number of reasons, and I'm not going to talk about things on this show that I don't like. So
I have noticed something. You tend to be a lot more towards the like a biographical and that type of thing, and I tend to be a lot more toward the fiction and those types of things. That's interesting. That's very.
I
Do
mean,
you like Stephen King at all? Do you like him at all?
oh no, I adore Stephen
Do
King.
you have a favorite
I
novel
think
of his?
it's um, it's Salem's Lot. It's his best. Salem's Lot is far and away the best thing he's ever written. He will never write anything close to that good.
I
I
will
don't think.
disagree with you.
I think the one that he wrote about the Kennedy assassination,
That
what,
11/22/63 is my
yeah,
favorite Stephen King
yeah,
novel,
that'd be a
and I mean
very close
head and
second.
shoulders above all the rest of his
Have you
novels.
seen the miniseries?
I will not do it, and I'll tell you
Why?
why.
Because it's excellent.
Well, I bet it
It
is,
really is
but
good.
I have that book more than any other Stephen King book. I have in my head specifically how everything
It
looks.
will not ruin it for you. I
I
promise you.
I'm telling you, man. That's one of his books I've read like 4 times.
Mm-hmm.
I cry every time I read it. It is so good, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna listen to what you have to say. You might convince me to watch it, but I'm telling you,
My
I
wife,
don't want to ruin in my head the world that I've created there. If that
my
makes
wife read
sense.
the book, and then about a year and a half later, I read the book, and we both loved it. and then probably a year after that, we watched the miniseries. And when we went into that, I went, "Oh, James Franco, really? He's he's spectacular.
Okay.
It really is good.
It
It will
wouldn't
not
bother
ruin
me
it
that
for you."
James Franco being in it wouldn't bother me.
Mhm.
What would bother me is things that I know will happen that screw up the world that I've created in my mind. There's only one movie that's a Stephen King movie, not a series, that actually the movie pretty much went the way I had it envisioned in my mind, and that was The Green Mile.
Oh, The
Um,
Green Mile is stunning. The
I
movie
have
is
The Green
the
Mile in
move.
serial format in the
Yeah,
way it came out in serial books.
that's one of those rare occasions that I'm going to say the movie is superior to the source
It's
material. They figured out a way
pretty,
to elevate it.
yeah, because the actors, who they chose, were so spot on. Just the way they handled every little nuance of it was just amazing.
Yeah.
So I'm going to have to agree with you. I will say it's at least on par, and I think in some ways better. But it's the only Stephen King movie that I think, like, in my mind, I had this pictured, and that was the vision that was on the screen. Now, that's not to say that there are not good Stephen King. Pet Cemetery is an excellent Stephen King movie. The old one, the new one's trash.
Yeah,
The
it
old
is.
one scared the living hell out of me, but it's different from the book. It's got a lot of different aspects of it. And then, of course, there are many Stephen King stories that they translated into movies, and they just didn't translate them. They're just not.
I had a similar experience. I read The Shining probably 15 years before I ever saw the movie, and during those years, everybody's like, "Oh, Shining! You got Jack Nicholson. You got to see this. You got to see this." And finally, it's a piece of shit. I hate that movie. I
Okay,
hate that movie.
this
I
is
hate it.
interesting.
They
This is
kill off
interesting.
the cook, the Scatman Carruthers
Yeah,
character. In the book, he's the hero. He
right,
saves the day.
right.
In the movie, they kill him off at the beginning. I'm sorry, Stanley. You lost me, fella. You lost me. You wasted everything else in the movie that makes it a great movie, and it is a great movie. I still hate it because they wasted Nicholson's incredible performance and interpretation of that role by screwing up the best part of the plot,
Right.
which was that character. I'm not remembering the name of the character,
His
but
name is Dick Halloran.
thank you. He's the hero, and you kill him off in the very
They didn't
beginning.
kill him off at the very beginning,
Yeah,
but they
they did.
do. He's in there at the beginning, and he's the one who he can tell that Danny shines.
Uh huh.
So
Yeah.
he, but then he goes to Florida. He's in Florida, and Danny's shining to him that he's in trouble. So he goes back, and that's when he gets killed. And what happens there is that he just shows up, and he doesn't even have a chance to do anything, and he
Yeah.
gets an axe in the chest, which I
Yeah.
agree with you is stupid. But
Absolute
that is very
stupidity.
interesting because it brings up a really cool point about that movie. People who like the movie a lot, and I do, are people who saw the movie before they read the book.
Right.
And almost everyone I know who read the book first cannot stand the way it was
I hate it.
translated into the
I hate King's version too. He didn't do it any better when he tried to redo it. There, Stephen King is a real paradox for me because he is such a great writer, but he has no trust for his readers. He feels absolutely that he has to describe in excruciating detail absolutely every aspect of a universe that he's trying to build. I don't agree with that. The book which is some of his best writing on the
Mhm.
whole, is 300 pages too long and has an awful ending. The ending to that book is like he said, "Oh wow, I got a deadline. Okay, he's a spider from space.
Well,
Okay, done."
that brings up a really good point about Stephen King. It is generally his biggest weakness. He does not end books well.
He needs an
And
editor. He needs an editor.
what here's the other thing. You're right about him. It's so funny because I got into an argument with the other day with a guy, and he was like, "Well, you Stephen King, you love him." I'm like, "Yeah, I do. But you think he's too verbose and he describes things too much?" I said, "Yes." He goes, "Well, what about Charles Dickens? Charles Dickens does the same thing." I said, "Yes, sir. But Charles Dickens was paid by the word when he was writing.
He
So
was.
he wrote and took a page and a half to describe what you could describe in a paragraph because he was getting paid for all those words he wrote." Stephen King doesn't have that. He just, like you said, I think that's you hit the nail on the head. He doesn't trust his readership to go, Oh, okay. I know what he's talking about. I know I can envision that. I don't need him to explain it to me, and he does that. Yeah, you're right about that. And he
When I
has a real
expressed that,
hard time ending books. He's not
yeah,
good. He's not a good. Which was why I loved 11/22/63 so much. It
yeah, it
ended
hasn't.
beautifully,
Yeah, yeah, you're right.
beautifully.
You're right.
So
People
yeah.
always ask me when I express that opinion, well, what should I be reading? Well, let me give you a few examples. Clive Barker is 4 times the writer. Clive's stuff is, and it's varied. It's not just horror. There's always a mystical aspect to everything that he does. But Clive can say in a paragraph what it takes Stephen chapters to say, because he knows that I have an imagination, and my imagination is probably far more twisted than anything he could lay out in black and white. I love everything that Clive ever wrote. The books of blood are fantastic.
They are.
Um,
Yeah.
I
The Midnight Murder Train or the
The
Midnight Meat
Midnight Meat
Train.
Train. The
Yeah.
first two chapters in that book are the Midnight Meat Train, which is one of the most horrific, grisly things you can possibly imagine,
Mhm.
and chapter two, or the second story, is called The Yattering and Jack, and it is so funny, you will be barrel laughing out loud. He's just such a,
I do
I don't
like the
know.
books of blood, and I do like
There's
Clive Barker
also
very
a
much.
lesser known pair of authors called John Skipp, spelled Skipp, and Craig Spector. And they wrote several novels in the late 80s, early 90s that are among the best horror that's ever been written.
I've never heard of either of them.
Yeah, they wrote as a team, the two of them, John
Oh,
Skipp
okay.
and Craig Spector. And the two books they wrote, there's one called The Light at the End, ironically, not my light at the end.
You didn't
It's a,
steal that, did you?
no, 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 no. The Light at the End is about a team of bicycle messengers in New York, and they are fighting against a coven of vampires living in the subway. And it's a real nail biter. I don't know why no one's ever made that into a movie. There's another one called The Scream, that's about a rock band that has sold their souls literally to the devil,
Oh my God.
and how they're planning, an overthrow of the world as I'm remembering it. It's been a while since I've read it. Both of those books are great. They've done some compilations together, but those two books are exceptional if you like great, tightly written horror fiction that will make your
Oh yeah,
skin
I do. I'm
crawl.
gonna have to look that up.
Yeah,
So do you
John.
like you said earlier that Charles Dickens, for anyone who's serious about reading, is just standard in your library material. Do you read a lot of him or have you?
It's been a while. I've been threatening to reacquire some things because my wife hasn't read several of his things.
Yeah. I have
Uh,
definite favorites of mine from him. First of all, you have to get over and you have to understand that when he wrote, and as I said earlier, at the time he wrote, he was being paid by the word. So you have to realize he's going to be overly descriptive. But if you can get beyond that, there are two novels of his that I just think are just so good. And one of them is The Old Curiosity Shop.
I was
And
just going to mention that one. That was one of the first books I remember reading as a
yep.
kid.
And I love it. I love
I love it.
that has everything you could want in it. It's got evil villains and people who need rescuing and intrigue and mystery and hilarity. It's got it all.
Yep.
And then the second one is a very that one is the one that I love that everybody knows about. There's one called Hard Times, and it was actually the very first Dickens novel I read, and it was because I was in a class at Texas Tech up in Lubbock, and it was assigned reading, and it was my introduction to Dickens, and I was like, oh my God, and everybody hated it in the class. Oh God, this is horrible. I loved it. It's the novel that made me go, I want to read more Charles Dickens.
Since this is our first in a series of Long Tracks and Tall Tales book club episodes that we plan on doing, let's just get it out of the way right away. What is your favorite book ever?
My favorite book of all time.
One. You can only pick one.
Oh my God, how do I do that?
It's easy for me.
Is it?
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what. You tell me and explain your favorite book ever, so I could try to think of which one mine is.
The Count of Monte Cristo.
Okay, that's a good one.
I can read that at any time, any place. It's so rich and deep and tragic, and there's vengeance and love and despair, and it just speaks to a certain part of my personality that's very sort of brooding and dark. And I was first assigned it to read in high school, and fortunately, I believe it was in English class with Mrs. Sample, as I recall, and she had printed out It might have been Mr. Montague's class. I apologize if I'm getting those were my two English teachers in high school, and I have very fond memories of both of them. I think it was Mrs. Sample. She had printed out a mimeograph, if you're old enough to remember a mimeograph.
Mhm.
It was a page that helped you keep track of all of the characters because there's a ton of them. There's like 50 different characters that play into the story. You know, he'll be talking along for 200 pages, and then he'll suddenly refer back to a character, and you're supposed to remember everything he said about that character. So these
But he
little,
did it like 10 chapters ago.
yeah.
Yeah.
So her little cliff notes, if you will, a little synopsis of each character were very helpful and helped me to really gain an enjoyment of that book that I probably wouldn't have had otherwise. It was an assignment, you know, and those can be kind of hard, but I found myself falling in love with it. You know, I've reread it probably 10 times over the years.
Wow.
There's several excellent movie versions of it. Uh, you know, it's just if you don't know the story of it, it's a tale of a man who's wrongly accused and goes to prison for many years, and eventually escapes and exacts his revenge. But when he does finally uh, acquire the vengeance that he's thirsted for all these years, it doesn't.
It
It
doesn't
doesn't.
satiate him at all,
No,
does it?
no, it doesn't. He has to come to the realization that the person that wanted vengeance all those years is not him anymore. And you know, it's really it. I would love to write a piece of prog that can make me personally feel a concept album that works on the same way, the same level that
So there's
works.
our next project then.
Well, I have been spending some time on a novelization of Here and There, so um,
That's cool. That'll be
I
cool.
really that story means a lot to me, and it's so detailed and has so many offshoots throughout the three albums that I took to tell it that
Yeah.
I've often felt like I wanted to be a little bit more verbose about filling in some of the blanks. I try to do that lyrically, you know, by insinuating
Right.
things in the lyrics if people will read it. But yeah, my favorite book of all time is The Count of Monte
I'm
Cristo.
gonna have to say, man, if I'm thinking my favorite book is a book I never get tired of. I absolutely adore. I can read it multiple times and want to read it multiple times. And when I finish it, I want to turn right back around and start back. It is 11/22/63 by Stephen King.
Yeah, it's a great book.
It is just, it's got everything. It's got
It does.
in its way, it has horror, but it is not your common style of horror that you would think. It's just uncomfortable in a lot of ways. That's in a horrific style of way. It's got love, it's got loss, it's got everything. It's so brilliantly written, and it ends so tragically and beautifully. Like I remember every time I read it, every time, and I'm at the ending, I'm just reading through tears. I'm
Hmm.
crying about it because it's so heart wrenching, the decisions that the guy has to make,
Let
at
me
the
say
end.
let me say this about the miniseries. It enhances the story. It doesn't take away from it. It doesn't it's not better than, but it doesn't take away from it. It's not like don't be afraid that it's going to be like my experience with The Shining. You aren't going to walk away from it saying, "God, what a piece of shit. They completely ruined it." No, it's very
Okay.
it preserves the essence and the flavor
I
of
trust
the
what you
book.
say enough that
Yeah.
if you think that highly of it, I
That's my
should give it a
opinion.
go. Yeah.
You should investigate it further for yourself. But my opinion on it, Angie really liked it as well. We
It
both
gets
enjoyed
high
it.
marks.
Hmm.
It is solely a I have that world very specifically laid out in my mind,
Yeah,
how I see it, and I don't want anything to ruin it. You
yeah,
know,
I
and
get it.
like people. Here's another great example of that. People who did not like the Harry Potter novels were generally the ones who had already read the books or
Hmm.
were already in the process of reading the books, and they already had it in their mind the way they thought everything looked. And then, so me, I enjoyed the books and the movies because I
Yeah.
watched the movies first, and then when I read the books, I had the way the movie had already had everything laid out. That's how it was in my mind, so it was no big deal. That world had already been created for me, and that's the greatest thing about books. I think you would help agree with me. World creation.
Hmm.
Your mind gets to decide what they look like and where they are,
And see,
and so
That's why I sometimes have trouble with Steven. He doesn't trust me to be able to create that world in my head. He
See, but in
wants
that
to.
book, he did. In that
Right.
book, he left a little bit of breathing room for you to be able to go, this is what I think this looks like.
I'm not
Plus,
as
the world was already there. He was telling a story from a time and from a perspective and from a place that was really existed, so he didn't
right.
have to go into all that much detail. It was already there. you
I'm the
know.
first to admit I'm not as familiar with his most recent work as my wife is. She reads everything that he
So do
puts
I.
out,
The minute it comes out, I
and
have it
she
the day it
doesn't
comes.
like everything that he puts
Neither do
out.
I.
Sometimes she dislikes it, but I will tell you this: I think he's a better writer now than he ever has been. And a lot of people say, "Oh, Stephen King, that's horror." Well, I
Not
think he's
anymore. It really isn't.
I think he's proved to be a better writer with other subject matter than he ever was a horror writer. To be
I
honest
agree
with you.
with you, except that his most recent book, this is one of the reasons I'm really looking forward to other worlds than these. His most recent book was called Never Flinch. I just didn't. It's a character. I don't know if you've read his book, The Outsider, or if you've read the Bill.
Yes,
And have you
yes.
read the Bill Hodges trilogy, Finders Keepers, and all those? Uh,
I've read. Have you seen the miniseries for
I
The
have not.
Outsider?
That's another one. But
Oh,
they
that.
he created a character called Holly Gibney in
Yep,
those.
yep,
Okay,
yeah.
he
Angie's always
loves
talking about
Holly,
Holly.
and I don't mind
She's in
Holly.
a bunch of different things
Right,
that he's written in.
because he loves her so much. He wrote more stories with her. If It Bleeds is about her. The
Mm-hmm.
Outsider has her in it. Holly, the story Holly, of course, is about her. Well, Never Flinch is another Holly story, and I I'm tired of it.
You
I'm
know, she
tired of
didn't.
Holly.
Angie didn't like it either.
And he doubled down. Everybody was like, it did not get good reviews because a lot of people were like, okay, enough Holly. And he said, oh, Happy New Year to myself. I think I'm going to write another Holly novel. I mean, he loves her so much, and I get it. I get falling in love with one of your characters and you don't want to let him go. But
Mm-hmm.
this last book was just okay. You've done everything you can do with her. It's like Frank Burns and MASH. There was a certain point in time where there was nowhere else you could go with him.
Oh, don't open the mash can
Oh, we're
today, my
going.
friend.
We're going to do a MASH episode, guys. Don't you worry. We love MASH.
For
But
those
my
of you who might be tuning in for the first time and haven't heard us say this, Christopher and I are huge MASH fans. I watch a little MASH every single day.
So
It's
do
part
I.
of my routine. And
So do I.
same with Chris. And this is completely separate from one another. We didn't know this about each other.
Nope.
I usually watch one episode, maybe two, sometimes four or five if I have time.
Yep.
It's just such a
I watch at least one a day, at
it's
least.
it's there's so many great series out there, WKRP in Cincinnati. There's so
Yes.
many great favorites out there. But there are periods of time in all the great series where there were, I love Seinfeld, but there's one or two entire seasons that flat out stunk, that were not funny. With MASH, you've got maybe a handful, 3, 4 episodes possibly
Episodes.
that
There
I
are
skip.
episodes that are not good, but there's no season that's terrible.
Yeah, it's some of the, I have a real fondness for that show that goes beyond most anything else.
Mine too. My
Yeah,
point being
yeah,
that
sorry.
no, that's okay. No, we love to go off on tangents.
Yep.
My point being that he is with Holly, in my opinion, where they were with Frank Burns. You've done everything you can with him. It's time to let him go.
Yep.
That's where in my opinion, that's where Stephen King is with Holly. You have ridden that horse into the ground. It is time to let that go. And I did not like and there's a few novels. I don't like part 6 of The Dark Tower, The Song of Susanna. I don't like it. The Tommyknockers. I have tried 3 times to read the Tommyknockers.
Yeah, I don't like the Tommyknockers
I
either.
can't do it. And then the book he wrote with his son Owen, that's called Sleeping Beauties, is just, oh my God, it's just like pulling teeth and torture. And I've tried to read that twice and just gave up on it both times. So those are the 3 novels of his that I can't read. And then Never Flinch I read all of, but didn't really care for. So I'm not like a Stephen King, oh, everything he writes is amazing. I get it. I get that a lot of his stuff is better. He's gotten a lot softer now in his in older times when he wrote horror. I mean, if someone was getting eviscerated, you read the evisceration in the book. There's a section in this book Holly where there's this couple that I don't know if I really want to spoil it, but they're not a nice couple and they do really bad things to people. And in the old Stephen King would have shown you what they were doing to these people. The new Stephen King didn't. He left it entirely to your imagination to figure out what they were doing, which can be a good and bad thing. It was kind of like a trust your reader type deal,
If you
trust your reader to figure that out. But I want that. I want if you're going to have that character being that horrible and doing those things, show me those things. That's why I'm reading the book. So it's
if
just
if you've not seen the Outsider miniseries, go watch it. It's
I tried.
stunned. You didn't like it?
No, did
Oh,
not like it. And I
I loved
love
it.
Jason Bateman. Love it.
I loved it.
And
Yeah,
I can't do it. I
I
tried.
loved
I
it.
watched an episode and a half and was like,
Hmm.
nope, I'm not doing this.
Yeah,
I'm
it
just
was.
I
We
don't know
loved
what
it.
it is, man. I think it's because I create these worlds in my mind with him and I don't want them to be shattered. And
Okay,
they are a lot of times.
right.
So it's just, I don't know. It's one of those things. But
That's okay. Hey,
yeah, that's okay. It's fine.
look,
But
it's your
anyway, well, what
it's
a
your.
series! And boy, we just got started, and boy, we barely scratched the surface in book world. So this is going to have to be a series we do every once in a while, the book series.
Yeah,
So
I read a lot, so this will stack up
so
and
do
get
I. So do I. Yeah.
accumulated. So,
So
um, coming up on the horizon here, we have some real cool guests. We're going to be having my good friend Mark Case is going to be stopping by with some untold stories of Alex Lifeson.
that'll be so fun. I can't wait
Yeah.
to hear those.
Mark worked at Gibson Custom for a few decades, and he was responsible for handling Mr. Lifeson when he showed up at the factory. And
That's awesome.
he was also responsible for delivering on the first date of the R40 tour. They delivered, I believe it was the double neck to Alex in Tulsa.
And he was the one who delivered it.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh, that's cool.
yeah. And I have some special things to share along those lines, and so does Mark. So we got that coming up. We got Andy Tillison is going to be coming up sometime in the future. We're
Yep.
really excited about that. We have
Yep.
some other guests simmering on the back burner that we're toying with, but we're going to do other things, folks. It's not
Yeah.
going to be just prog, and it's not going to be just music.
That's right. Be looking out for in the fall. Be looking out for probably a discussion on maybe I definitely a discussion on like horror movies when it comes to be October and stuff like that.
Yeah,
So,
we both have a fondness for horror movies, but we're both we have both we have differing strong ideas on what makes a great horror movie.
absolutely we do.
Um,
But that's okay. That'll be fun.
it has to do mostly with my generation, I think. But
I
yeah,
think it does
that's
too.
going to be an interesting discussion
Oh, it will
because
be. It'll be fun.
yeah, we're
It'll be
both
it'll be
fans
a
of
good
that
time.
stuff.
Yeah.
So,
So
all right, well, Chris, thanks once again. Great segment.
it was a lot of fun.
Learned about some books that I'm going to have to go find, and I think Dickens is something that should be the overriding theme of this episode. If y'all don't know about Dickens, go dig that stuff up.
I mean, most people don't. Most people don't read Victorian British literature. They don't do
It's
it.
worth it.
And
I personally, I don't think it's overwrought because I like that language, that flowery,
yeah, me too.
descriptive, very
And
English way.
it needs to also be reiterated, if you like Sherlock Holmes, seek out modern authors who read canon, who write canonically.
This was
Canon
news to
Sherlock
me.
Holmes. There's
This is-
tons of them.
Yeah.
Tons of them, and they're great.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
All right, friends. Well, until we are together again, we would like you all to be good to one another.